Okay, I'm going to date the video. It is November 15th, 2024. And you may be watching, because of like the way I upload things, you may be watching this sometime in 2025. I don't know. Or later, because it's going to stay up once I upload it, right? So it could be, you could be way in the future, 2035. I don't know. But it's not going to be available for a long time after that. But what's going on right now is a couple big publications. I guess that might be too big a word for this, but releases of machine translating software. That would be the next version of the Sugoi toolkit, which I'm using V8. The next one's V9, and the what they call something called Luna Hook. Now, I actually got to act fast on the for what the new toolkit, which is the OCR, by the way, is for short. It's short. A short way to say it would be just the OCR, but there's actually a whole lot of stuff in there. There's like different kinds of OCRs and different kind of translating integrations. Because the creator of that only gives you a public link on the 15th and 16th of every month, and it's the 15th. So I better do that after they're recording this. If I want to download the copy of the new version, which I don't see why not. It's a portable thing, right? So you don't have to deal with installs. You just stick another one on there on your computer. And I have so much space in my F drive, it doesn't matter if I just put in another version. Now, it's the drive letter of the drive. I put my games and my big game-related stuff, as I call it. Now, it doesn't appear that the new version, just from reading about it briefly, actually has any accuracy updates or algorithm updates, or if it does have any algorithm updates to the OCR, that is, they're to make it faster and not necessarily more accurate. Basically, it's all speed increases. And I don't know exactly how they make the speed increases, but I presume it's probably some sort of like BLOS or LAPACK utilization going on. If you're not familiar with that stuff, it's a naive way to make to utilize a multi-core processor or a multi-thread processor. You can also say if you consider things like hyper-threading, which apparently Intel's doing away with, but I don't know what AMD is doing about hyper-threading. Anyway, I'm just going to say multi-core. Multi-core CPU is you have multiple different programs running simultaneously, and each program is assigned to a core. And it's assigned to a core via a special operating system program, which also is running on a core, called the scheduler. And that program just runs on that exact, only one core at a time, and it feeds its sequence of instructions into the core, just as you would feed instructions into a core one program at a time on a single core GPU. So, your OBS runs on one core, and your web browser runs on a different core, and your game runs on a different core, and so on. Right? If you use something, a BLOS, which stands for Basic Linear Algebra Subsystem, that's a library of special, pre-compiled, code, call it a DLL, that uses special instruction sets that allow, along with compatibility of being able to use those instruction sets in the hardware, that allow a single program to use multiple cores. For example, let's say you want to add a giant array of numbers to another giant array of numbers. Well, if you just did that on one core, you'd have to do each number, and they're both the same size, say. It's like 1,000 by 1,000, a million numbers. You have to do a million additions one at a time in a single core. But if you can then use a BLOS to allocate 4 cores to this, you can then do 250,000 on each core. You just kind of like have 4 cores doing it all at once four cores all allocated to the same task. And you could do things like that. And that might be how they're speeding up the OCR. I'm not sure. Famous stuff that's famous for utilizing BLOSes. Most famous of the BLOSes is the Intel MKL, which is the fastest on an Intel processor, and would be the fastest on a competitor's processor too. It's just that Intel intentionally nerfs it at the software level if it can tell you're not using an Intel processor, but then they don't communicate that to their customers. They're sneaky. Like, I would be okay with it if they were just upfront and honest about that. We developed this linear algebra subsystem, the Intel Math Kernel Library, as it's called, and because we develop it and we think that we should be the ones to reap the rewards of our efforts, right? This should motivate you to buy more Intel CPUs because, we earned this exclusivity because we're the one who put the effort in to spend the money to develop this. So we're going to make it not run as well on other CPUs. But they don't. They just kind of say it's compatible with all CPUs, and then you wondering why your AMD CPU runs your NumPy slower than your Intel CPU, despite the specifications of the CPU. Anyway, stuff that utilizes it, stuff like a BLOS would be, for example, MATLAB. That's how MATLAB is as fast as it is if you code it correctly. Some people think MATLAB is really slow because they don't know how to make MATLAB fast, but it's actually very fast if you know how to do that. The Python package NumPy also uses a BLOS to be faster than vanilla Python, right? Stuff like COMSOL, HFSS by ANSYS. Just like these numerical method programs utilize something called a BLOS to make them fast. This is a really weird off-topic rant. It has really nothing to do with what I was talking about originally. And then you can get the GPU involved, and then it gets even more extreme. Which is starting to do with the OCR. The problem with that, with the speed increases, is that I don't think I actually have a problem right now, or dissatisfaction right now with the speed. I think sometimes why it's hanging up is the translator's actually hanging up, and it's not actually copying the Japanese text it's OCRing to the clipboard for some reason until it's done translating it. There's some inefficiency in the way the sequence of events is coded. The OCR itself is not having problems with the speed when it goes, although it does seem to, it might hang up sometimes. But it's interesting. Yeah, the other thing is, the other thing that came out was something called Luna Hook, and they may make me pay for that, I don't know. It's supposed to be yet another text hooker. It would be the third text hooker I know about. First, the original was Text Hooker, and then someone came out with something called Textractor, which was better and slightly easier to use. And they decided, we're going to come up with a third thing. Now, what I really want is something that can hook through easy RPG. However, I think the reason why you can't text hook through easy RPG is something very fundamental. And it'd be very difficult. I probably can't actually do that. It's probably just does everything that Textractor used to do, just because it's easier to use. But I haven't read all the literature on that yet, or downloaded or tried it, so not sure. Anyway, back to this game. I already read this. I read this line last session, so let's go to the next line. So I presume we're about to go to sleep at the end of day one, which means we might see a vision of Coco. We'll see if that happens. As the kid. Oh, we're already hanging up. Okay, so it doesn't seem like it's a speed problem. It's a problem if it does it or it just doesn't do it. Right? Okay. We washed our clothes, which were soaked in seawater, and took a shower. Um, oh, back to that like nonsense rant I was doing. Um, the CPU that I'm using on my current computer, which seems to still be running fine for my purposes, does have AVX512 compatibility. So it's really good at utilizing stuff like the Intel MKL. It gives you can get really fast code paths. But then I think Intel might be phasing out AVX 512. It's like Intel like comes up with the stuff and then they go like, now we can just throw more power at the, we can just throw higher voltages at the problem, and then it just does it better than doing the sophisticated stuff. They're also as I mentioned earlier, they also seem to be doing away with hyper-threading. So I have one of those old school things that can still do hyper-threading at AVX 512, but still loses the speed wars, especially in things like, oh, I forgot what it's called, the like thing that draws the picture. Oh no, it's still slower at all the benchmarks. So it doesn't matter. Uh, I wiped myself off with the towel I had installed, and then left the one-person shower room. Oh, it's personal? Okay. I mean, install, I guess, would be the right word in a different context, but provided might be more appropriate, right? I guess it's a single stall. Interesting. I encountered that at like a church camp once, but because it was actually like a bit of a stretch, a bit of a stretch to the facility. You had to like one at a time. Like, wait, do you want to do the whole like? Do you want to do like a prison shower? Is that more? Is that what you prefer? I held up my Lemieux card. Or is it Ridge? Lemieux card to the. He does have one. Okay, to the vending machine and press the coffee milk button right before bed. By the way, I mean it's fine. Like some people are like me, where I can drink caffeine, which I don't do very often for reasons, and I just don't do psychoactive substances in general most of the time. But like every once in a while, like once a year or so, I'll drink caffeine and fall asleep right afterwards. It doesn't do that thing, that like I think it makes me feel a little different than usual, but it doesn't make me feel like I'm awake and alert and jittery. It just makes me feel kind of warm. it doesn't it doesn't do what people say caffeine does. The Lemieux card was in the wallet I found when I washed my clothes. I presume it makes you feel warm because it's some sort of vasodilator or something. But there wasn't, well, that's what alcohol does. I don't know if caffeine does anything of that nature. I haven't drank alcohol at all, though, so I don't really have much to comment there. But there wasn't anything in my wallet that gave me my ID or any other information. Someone snuck his, ID out at some point. You would think that would have been Tsugumi, but then like Tsugumi never seems 100% like she's in on the plot. Like she always seems like just annoyed with it. But maybe she just complied in that way. But there wasn't anything. He got pickpocketed by Tsugumi. Um, Come on, translate this. I don't remember if I clicked the button or not. Just as I was about to crouch down to take some coffee milk out of the vending machine, Sarah came out of the shower. She doesn't have like the towel turban though. Sarah was faintly steaming, and I couldn't help but stare at her. Does that ever happen? You come out of the shower still steaming? Why am I so worried about Sarah? Something hot wells up in my chest. Yes, that's correct. There's no transfusions going on here. Perhaps noticing my gaze, Sarah turned to me. I couldn't help but, one of these things. Okay. So, right now I'm targeting you, but because Yuma is not involved, I may not necessarily want to, like, just do all the negative Sarah choices, right? Unless it's, like, against you. This contrasts on you. Sometimes it does that. Okay. Look away. Make eye contact. Okay, we're gonna reduce this a bit. And then I'm gonna choose make eye contact. We're not gonna, like, pure negative on a character. A lot might hurt. I don't know if, hopefully that doesn't hurt me later. That choice is not in the original, by the way. These weird, like, look in the eye stuff is purely a remake thing. Sarah was staring at me absent-mindedly. I look into Sarah's eyes. I wonder what's wrong. I did not miss the shadow in Sarah's eyes. Or sometimes that might be translated darkness, right? The darkness. What's wrong? Says the kid. Did something happen? It's just Sarah, right? Yes, the name.
Nani?
What? Are you okay? But different kanji. Let's see here. Heiki. Which is something like, are you okay? Okay, interesting.
平気だよ、全然。
I am okay. No problem, right?
どうしてそんなことを聞くの?
I wish the text was always that fast. What are you asking about? It's one with, I can see it in your eyes. Because you did not seem to be doing well.
そんなことないってば。
That's not true.
ただ、昔を思い出してちょっとへこんでただけ。
I'm just remembering the past and feeling a little depressed. So that's kind of accurate. The past?
でも、今はそんな場合じゃないわよね。やることもあるんだし。
Now is not the time for that. I have things to do, which doesn't have anything to do. Besides maybe track down Sugumi. But we're not got to that part of the story yet. Sarah's expression felt even stiffer. With that, Sarah left the room. As I sat in my chair and drank my coffee milk, Takeshi appeared, refreshed after taking a shower.
シャワー浴びたのか?
You took a shower? Question? Yes. Huh? The name doesn't come to mind. What name? Okay.
たけし。倉成たけし。たけしでいいぞ。
Oh, okay. Takeshi. Kurenai Takeshi. Takeshi is fine. Okay, my impression from the original game and my kind of assumption about how Amnesia is typically written is he doesn't have any trouble, he doesn't have trouble remembering things that he learns, like, like, after the event, after which he can't remember. It's just he can't remember anything before a certain time. But both of the kids, in both perspectives in this game, seems to have a little trouble remembering things, like, still. Not only do they forget everything that happened before the incident in Lemieux, they're also forgetting things during the incident of Lemieux, which is weird. Not usually how you write that. Kurenari Takeshi?
たけしってのは武士道の武の字だぞ。式じゃないぞ。
So that Kurenari Takeshi was written out in hiragana, and then Takeshi responds with Takeshi, that's the first three characters of this, in katakana. Takeshi is the kanji for Bushito. Is a kanji character of Bushido. It's not a formality. Interesting. Well, something about the name. I presume that this kanji is a kanji that means Bushido. Whatever Bushido means. Club or department. It's quite difficult to convey the kanji of the name in words. Okay. Kind of a short version of sorry, right? Which name do you prefer or something? Oh, what kind of letters? Okay, so this means this here roughly means letters. It's like sumimasen, but without the me, so it's like suimasen. What kind of letters are there?
そうだな。みんなの名前とかメモを取っといた方がいいかもな。
Yeah, it might be a good idea to take notes on everyone's names. Okay, so when he goes through, use bag. Read this all again from the other side, as it's technically different characters, but they're doing the same thing, so you still got the repetition. Saying that, Takeshi looked around and started rummaging through the bunch of women's objects as if he had forgotten something. Saying that, Takeshi looked around and dug out a whip that someone had left, you mean a purse, a woman's purse, that someone had left behind. Okay, so it's not like Takeshi forgot something, he just went through someone's purse that they had left behind. He took out a pin out of the purse. For some reason, the kanji always comes out wrong. Takes a note and a pin out of the purse and wrote something down on the note.
ほれ、メモとボールペン。俺の名前も漢字で書いておいたぞ。
Here's a note and a ball pen, which is short for ballpoint pen. I wrote my name in kanji, which is just one singular kanji. Thank you. Oh, the OCR almost gave up on me. Takeshi told me everyone's names. Wait, does he accidentally say Yubei said wrong you or something? I jotted down everyone's names.
さすがに俺は全員の名前の漢字なんて知らないから、後でみんなに頼めばいい。
Does he know the kanji for Tsugumi's name? He probably doesn't. That's the goofy thing. Still, I'm still waiting for that, because you don't get that in the English translation. Eventually, in the original, Tsugumi actually says the kanji that make her name. And I'm wondering when she does that, whether or not her name, like, box turns to kanji. I do have the original game in Japanese. I just never played it in Japanese because I had the English translation. Of course, I don't know the kanji for everyone's names, so I can ask everyone later. Yeah, I'll do that. This note was a record of my memories. Maybe I should write down the date and stuff, thinking about when I forgot. Oh, we're getting this. Where he picks up a magazine, right? It gives them the wrong date. I was about to write down the date, but my hand stopped. Huh? What is the year now?
お前、そんなことも忘れちゃったのか？
Have you even forgotten that?
今年はな、西暦2000。
The 20th year of, oh, they say Christian era? Year of our Lord. I forgot the rest of it. Anyway, it's year of our Lord 20...
何年だっけ？
What year is it again? This is where you get like super sus. This happens in the original too. You're like, what? Saying that Takeshi took a ticket. Takeshi character forgets the year. Say that Takeshi took out a ticket from his pocket. Wait, is it actually Kirei, not ticket? It should be just ticket. Out of his pocket and glanced at it. Original game was a magazine. He got a magazine in the break room. Which might be referenced in Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward. Then he crumpled the ticket stub and put it back in his pocket.
ああ、そうそう。2017年だ。ほら、メモ書いとけ。
Yeah, that's right. It's 2017. Here's a note. Write it down. You're so sus. Understood. 2017. So I write down the date. I think about my birthday, but nothing comes to mind. When was I born? Or was I not born yet? Really? Or am I not yet born? They straight up say it! They straight up say it! Well, way to be subtle. That thought popped into my head. Not like literally, right? It's like the date he gave you, the year he gave him is a year in which he would be not yet born. What's wrong, boy? Oh, when I heard your age, I thought you'd at least remember. When I heard the year, not age, I heard the year, I thought I'd at least remember my birthday.
そうか。自分の年齢もわからないんだよな。
I see. So you don't even know your age, do you?
見た感じだと、42歳厄年ってところかな。
Okay, they kept this line in. From what I can tell, you're 42 years old. Yeah? Surprised, they pressed my hand to my face. I mean, why wouldn't you be? I mean, you can't remember anything, right? You might as well be, like, in your 80s. You might be doing, zero escape or choose last reward.
ごめん、冗談。悪かった。
Sorry, I was joking, sorry.
多分、14、5歳ってとこじゃないかな。
You're probably around 14 or 15 years old. Which is a weird way to write 14 or 15. That's probably how it reads, though.
仮に18歳だとしたら、かなりの童顔だな。
If you are 18, you have a pretty baby face. Cow? As in, like, is that a baby? Huh?
あ、お前まさか、自分の顔も覚えてないとか？
Don't tell me you don't even remember your own face.
なら、後で鏡を見て、自分の似顔絵もメモっとけばいいんじゃないか？
In that case, why don't you look in the mirror and write down your portrait later? Yeah, those lines are remarkably similar to the original. They didn't rewrite that much.
どうしたいきなり。
What's wrong all of a sudden? Yeah, it's like the Kakashi always has his hand behind his head. Just constantly. It's always just right there. I turn around to see you standing there, her face pale.
倉成くん、そのカバン開いちゃってるんだけど、中を見たわね。
Kurenari-kun, that bag is open. You looked inside, didn't you?
このカバン、お前のだったのか？あ、すまん。必要なものがあったから、中のものをちょっと借りた。
This bag, was it yours? Sorry, I had something I needed, so I borrowed what was inside. Actually, you took it permanently.
勝手に漁ってくれちゃったんだね。勝手に女の子のカバン、漁ってくれちゃったんだね。
Hey, you rummaged through a girl's bag, didn't you? And then she says it again, right? But slightly differently. Okay, let's see. Go translate. It gives me more nuance. You just went through a girl's bag without her permission, didn't you? Written twice. Okay.
そうなるのかな。
I wonder if that'll happen. What? I wonder what's gonna happen.
このエッチー。
Basically, it means you like kind of dirty Joker. Not quite the same as perverted. You landed a hearty drop. Oh. You delivered a spectacular heel drop on Takeshi's head.
ひゅー。
Someone had to voice act that. Takeshi collapsed onto the table, unmoving. He's like a corpse. Imagine signing up for this. You talking to Ryogo. Well, we got, you're gonna have to get kicked a few times. Just... Prepare for CTE. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure Takeshi has become like he is dead? Is he okay? Takeshi has grown so tall. I don't know about that, but the kanjis don't seem wrong, but... Takeshi has become as if dead. Takeshi let out a tasteful cry. Tasteful? It looks like he is alive somehow. Takeshi cried out in surprise. Okay, seems to be still alive.
変質者なんて死んじゃえばいいのに。
Degenerates. Should just die. I don't care. You said that with an expressionless face, took the purse, and left the room. Tsugumi passed by you and entered the room.
仲良しごっこは終わったみたいね。
To find Takeshi just laid out on the table. Looks like you're done pretending to be friends. So you've just been waiting outside until someone, like, kicked someone? Great. You knew it was gonna happen, though. It's like you didn't really observe anything to make that conclusion from. Because you like... Yeah, it's like, it's not organic, right? It's not like she, like, go, oh, looks like they're not friends anymore. You kick Takeshi. Because she would know, like, that does not what that means. Tsugumi said that while glaring at Takeshi. Why is Tsugumi trying to avoid us? She even seems to hate us. I was so worried about that I didn't feel refreshed. You see, like, should I just run? I don't know if Tsugumi, like, has done as much damage, like, does as much damage as you does, because although there's a case where Tsugumi slaps Takeshi, she doesn't, like, knock him out, right? So there's less, she causes less rattling around of the brain inside the skull than you has. Why are you avoiding us, Tsugumi? We're both trapped together, so let's get along better. I guess we're kind of subbing this in because, so in the original game, in both sides, there's a kind of a break in day one where whichever character you're playing as gets to kind of go around to the various locations, each one having a character in it and having a little bit of an intro conversation with that character. Right? So they cut that out in the remake. And the point of it was just like introduce locations and introduce the characters. They had kind of like the whole title card thing without literal title cards. And they gave you a choice rack, right? So you could do it in different orders depending. She had to do them all eventually anyway. I think on the kid side though, you don't actually get Tsugumi as an option. What happens is you go through everyone else and then you have a conversation. You find Tsugumi in the security room, which doesn't exist in the remake. And then you have this blowout, and then you go find her, and you have a conversation with her that substitutes for the intro conversation in the jellyfish gondola lobby. Anyway, I'm going to save this here, because I'm out of time. This is a short one. Less than an hour, actually. Oh, we got a new page. I have another page. Good. And that's it for now.